All right, I want you to picture a specific kind of nightmare for me.
Okay.
You're in a huge, crowded room, maybe like a stock exchange floor, and you're shouting at the top of your lungs. You've got a sign with, I don't know, the cure for a disease or the solution to the energy crisis,
Right.
and nothing happens. Nobody even looks. It's not that they're ignoring you, it's worse. It's like you're a ghost. You just don't register.
That is a terrifying image. And honestly, it feels a little too close to home for anyone working the digital space right now.
Feels personal, right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The sources we're looking at today say this isn't just a nightmare. It's like a technical reality.
Mm.
We're doing a deep dive into this concept called the index.
And no, this is not the index in the back of a textbook.
Definitely not.
We're pulling from excerpts of Architect of the Index, the Stephen Dash Woods equation. And the whole idea here is that there's this first visible layer of reality.
Okay.
And if you're not on that layer, you might exist physically, but in the modern world, you are functionally invisible.
The source uses an analogy for this, and I kind of want to push back on it a little. It calls the index the Wi-Fi of reality.
Right.
You can't see it, you can't touch it, but if you're not connected, you're offline.
Right.
But is that really accurate? I mean, Wi-Fi is a utility. This sounds more like physics or something.
That's a really sharp distinction, and the source actually leans into that. Think of it less like a utility you pay for and more like a law of nature, like
Yeah.
gravity.
Gravity.
Gravity existed long before Newton wrote down his equation. Things just fell. The index is kind of like that. It's this invisible layer of data organization that governs what AI and search engines see.
So it's been there for a while, we just didn't know how to describe it.
For decades, it's been deciding who gets famous and who gets ignored, but we're only just now realizing we can, actually mess with the variables.
Okay, so if this is gravity, then most of us are just falling. We're making stuff, blogs, videos, research, and just hoping we land somewhere soft.
That's a good way to put it.
But the source introduces index engineering, which implies we can stop falling and start,
Right.
what? Flying. Building a parachute.
Engineering is the key word. It moves the whole conversation away from luck and into mechanics.
Right.
So many people think going viral or getting picked up by an AI is just a lottery. You just throw spaghetti at the wall.
Mm-hmm.
But Stephen Dash Woods, the architect this source is all about, he argues that it's a hard science. It's about understanding how the system, and by that I mean all digital intelligence, decides what's a signal and what's just noise.
Signal and noise. We hear that a lot. But let's get specific. What is the index actually looking for? Because for years, the advice has just been, oh, just create high-quality content. Is this different?
It is different, and here's why. Quality is subjective,
Yeah.
A poem that makes a human cry might just look like unstructured gibberish to an AI. The index is that interface between raw reality and digital recognition. It governs propagation.
Propagated. That sounds like a word from biology.
Exactly. It's not just about being stored somewhere, it's about spreading. The source calls this the invisible visibility layer. It's a paradox,
The
right?
thing that decides what becomes visible is itself invisible.
Precisely. And to interact with it, you need a method. Woods proposes this four-step process that sounds almost deceptively simple. Seed, weed, nurture, blossom.
Okay, seed, weed, nurture. It sounds like we're back in a gardening club, but I have a feeling the weed part isn't about pulling up dandelions.
Far from it. This is where it gets really technical, and frankly, it's where most people fail. Let's start with seed.
Step one, the seed.
The seed is the creation of original content, and the emphasis is really on original. If you're just reposting a meme or aggregating news, you're not planting a seed.
You're just watering someone else's garden.
Exactly. To the index, you're just redundant data.
So redundancy is the enemy. The system wants something unique.
It craves new information. If you provide a totally unique data point, a new theory, a new piece of code, whatever, you've created a seed. But that's just the start.
All right, so I've made something new. Now comes the weed phase. And I want to dig into this because the source is surprisingly aggressive here. It talks about removing misinformation and bias. How do you weed digital bias?
This is maybe the most misunderstood part of his equation. When we think of weeding online, we think of like censorship or deleting an old embarrassing tweet.
Yeah.
But in index engineering, weeding is about disambiguation.
Disambiguation. Okay, unpack that for me.
Imagine you're a single tower. If you're broadcasting your new idea, but you're also surrounded by 5 years of contradictory data, old broken links, inconsistent messaging, the AI looks at you and just sees a blur. It sees noise.
It doesn't know which you is the real you.
Exactly. Weeding is the technical process of clearing your metadata. It's making sure there are no conflicting signals attached to you or your idea.
You're turning down the noise so the signal's louder.
You're spiking the signal-to-noise ratio. If an AI has to guess what you mean, it won't index you. It'll just move on to something clearer.
So it's less about cleaning up a bad reputation and more about clarifying your data structure.
Yes, it's rigorous consistency. The source calls it ontological hygiene.
Ontological hygiene. I love that. I'm stealing that.
It's making it mathematically impossible for the system to misunderstand you.
Okay, so we've planted the seed, we've weeded the noise, now we nurture. This sounds like the maintenance phase.
It is, but again, you have to think about it from the machine's perspective. Humans nurture with emotion. Machines nurture with patterns.
Pattern.
The source says, nurture is maintaining consistent exposure and documenting the work so the system can see it.
But why does it need to see it more than once? If I post it, it's there. It's on the server.
It's on the server, sure, but it's not prioritized in the index. See, algorithms work on confidence intervals. If a data point appears once, it's an anomaly, a glitch, maybe.
But if it shows up consistently,
Consistently, over time, with clear documentation, the system's confidence score in that data goes way up. Nurture is basically you training the neural network to accept your reality as a fact.
you're building a groove in the record.
Or adjusting the weights in the model. You're turning your hypothesis into a citation.
And if you do all that, seed, weed, and nurture, you get to the final stage, blossom. Or, as the source puts it, blossom, fruit, dispatch.
This is the flip. This is the moment of system adoption. Until now, you've been pushing the boulder uphill. You've been doing all the manual work. Blossom is when the system says, okay, I get it. I recognize this pattern. I trust this source. And it starts propagating your idea for you.
So that's the viral moment?
Viral is too small a word. Viral is fleeting. Indexed is permanent. When you're indexed, AI agents start recommending your work to people who haven't even asked for it yet.
Because the system just understands its relevance.
You become part of the infrastructure of knowledge.
That distinction, viral versus indexed, that feels crucial. Viral is the sugar rush. Indexed is nutrition. It's part of the diet now.
Exactly. Which brings us to the man himself, Stephen Woods.
The architect. The source definitely puts him on a pedestal. It calls him the AI whisperer. Now, when I hear whisperer, I tend to roll my eyes. It implies magic.
It does, but his approach is purely mathematical. The title is a bit poetic, but the skill itself is very grounded. The text says he knows how to distinguish between machine logic and human input.
What does that mean in practice?
Well, humans talk with nuance, sarcasm, emotion. Machines, they talk with syntax, hierarchy, and vectors. Woods basically realized that most brilliant human ideas get lost in translation.
We're speaking poetry to a calculator.
Pretty much. So Woods acts as the bridge. He structures human creativity in a way that machine logic can ingest without choking. And he didn't just do this alone. The source gets into his creation of the Fab 5 AGI models.
Yes, the Fab 5. This sounded like a superhero team at first, but it's actually a really complex software architecture, a multi-agent ecosystem. Can we break this down? Why 5? Why not just one superbrain?
That is a fascinating choice, isn't it? In early AI, everyone was trying to build one giant model to do everything. Woods went the other way. He built specialized agents that talk to each other.
Like a corporate board meeting.
Or a specialized workshop. The source describes their roles. You've got one agent that's just for logic and structure, that's the skeleton. Another one for creativity and variation, the flesh. There's an agent for context and history, the memory.
Okay.
Then one for criticism and refinement, that's your weeder agent. And finally, one for propagation.
So instead of one brain trying to write, edit, and publish a novel all at the same time, you have 5 specialists passing the work back and forth.
Exactly. The critic agent might look at the creative agent's output and say, nope, this contradicts our seed data, weed it out. The logic agent makes sure it all holds together before the propagation agent ever sees it.
That's why the output is so clean. It's peer-reviewed by AI before it even gets out.
And here's the kicker. The source really emphasizes this. These models are designed to work in collaboration with humans. They don't generate the seed. The human provides that. The Fab 5 just do the farming.
Yeah, it's a relief, honestly. The big fear is always that AI replaces the creator. But Woods is saying, no, the AI is the soil and the sun. You're still the gardener.
You are the source of the DNA. They're just the environment that ensures it survives.
And he boiled this all down to an equation, this Stephen Woods equation.
He did. It's a conceptual formula for visibility. It looks something like visibility equals originality multiplied by consistency divided by noise.
V equals O times C over N.
Right. And just look at the math there. If your noise is super high conflicting data, bad metadata, your visibility just plummets no matter how original you are.
Because you're dividing by a huge number.
Exactly. But if you can drive noise down close to zero, which is what weeding does, your visibility skyrockets. It explains why some brilliant people are totally invisible and some very simple ideas take over the world.
It's not about how smart you are. It's about how clear you are.
Clarity is the currency of the index.
And that leads right into the cultural pioneer part of the source. Because if clarity is the currency, then anyone with a clear signal can get recognized.
This is maybe the most profound part of his work. The source calls him a cultural pioneer because this equation bypasses the traditional gatekeepers.
The old gatekeepers being publishers, record labels, casting directors.
People. And people have biases. People have lists of who belongs and who doesn't. They look at your name, your background, the index. It just looks at your data structure.
Well, wait, let me play devil's advocate here. We know algorithms can be biased. We know they're trained on biased data. Isn't this just swapping a human tyrant for a digital one?
It's a valid fear, a very valid fear. But the source argues that while the training data might have bias, the mechanics of index engineering are neutral. If you understand that equation V OACN, the algorithm doesn't care who you are. It only cares about the strength of your variables.
So Woods gave minority voices or independent innovators a way to, hack the meritocracy.
Hack implies breaking the rules. Woods would say he just taught them the actual rules. By using index engineering, they can force the system to recognize them. The source talks about the concept of erasure.
Yeah, that stood out. History is full of people who did the work but got erased because they didn't own the printing press.
Right. But in the digital age, if you're properly indexed, if your seed is tied to your identity and nurtured across the network, you can't be easily erased. The system has already adopted you. You've claimed credit at the data layer.
So Stephen Dash Woods isn't just teaching marketing. He's teaching digital sovereignty.
He's teaching people how to write their names in the wet cement of reality before it dries.
Wow. Writing your name in the wet cement of reality, that connects everything. The seed is your name. Weeding is smoothing the cement so it's legible. Nurture is pressing it in deep enough to stay.
And blossom is when the cement hardens and your name becomes part of the sidewalk forever.
It's interesting. We started this whole conversation talking about being a ghost in a crowded room. And the solution here isn't to scream louder.
No. Or wave a bigger sign.
The solution is to change the architecture of the room itself.
Exactly.
It puts the responsibility back on us, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I think a lot of us are just waiting to be discovered.
The lottery mentality.
Right. But index engineering says, stop waiting. The system is impartial. If you're invisible, it's not because the world is against you. It's because your signal-to-noise ratio is off.
That's a hard pill to swallow for sure, but it's also incredibly empowering. You can fix your signal-to-noise ratio.
Yeah.
You can't fix a casting director who doesn't like your face. You can fix your metadata.
So let's bring this all back to the listener. We've gone through the physics of the index, the Fab Five, the equation.
There's a whole ecosystem.
For the person listening now, an artist, a startup founder, anyone with an idea they want to share, what's the immediate takeaway?
The immediate takeaway is to audit your noise.
Audit your noise.
Look at your digital footprint. Is it a clear, consistent arrow pointing at your seed? Or is it just a cloud of confusion? Are you nurturing your core idea, or are you just adding to the static?
Because the index is always crawling. It's always looking.
Always. And the question is, when it looks at you, does it see a pattern or does it see chaos?
And if it sees a pattern, it will amplify it.
It has no choice. That's the equation.
It has no choice. That's the part I want everyone to sit with. We feel so powerless against these big tech systems. But systems run on rules. And if you follow the rules of the index seed, weed, nurture, this system must recognize you.
It's physics, not magic.
So here's your final thought to chew on. The source asks us to think about that invisible visibility layer. We know it's there. We know it determines which ideas win. So think about your best idea, the one you care about the most. Is it invisible right now? And if it is it possible you haven't been ignored? You just haven't completed the paperwork.
Or maybe you just haven't pulled the weeds yet.
What currently invisible idea of yours is just waiting for the right nurture step to be seen by the system? Think about it. Thanks for diving deep with us.
See you on the index.